I'm so excited to present to you today. In this presentation, we're going to be going over how to blog legally. 10 things every blogger must know. Whether you're just starting off or a year in or you're an experienced blogger, hopefully you'll find something from this presentation that is helpful, maybe that you didn't know before. And before we jump in, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Erika Kullberg. I'm an award-winning lawyer and the founder of a legal technology company called Plug and Law. And our mission is really to make legal simple. For years, basically my background is I worked as a corporate lawyer for Fortune 500 CEOs, but last year I had this epiphany where I decided that I wanted to use my legal background to help actual people, small business owners and bloggers, and not these large faceless corporations that could afford to pay me $1,000 an hour. So I am on a mission to make the legal stuff simple, accessible, and affordable so that you can legally protect your business without having to hire an expensive lawyer. And I also have a personal finance YouTube channel, which to my shock has grown to over 70,000 subscribers and 4 million views in just about a year. So I'm really passionate about helping out other content creators. So again, I hope you love this presentation, and let's jump in. And just a quick disclaimer is that even though I am a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, so none of this should be construed as legal advice. Okay, so number one, let's talk about privacy policies. This is one of 3 legal documents that we'll be talking about that you need to have displayed on your blog, and we'll just call these legal pages. So the first legal page you need is a privacy policy. A privacy policy is not only essential for your blog, it's also required by law. Your website visitors need and have the right to know how their information is being collected and used, and what rights they have with respect to how their information is used and protected. In addition, having a privacy policy is also just good business practice. It's the best way to show your visitors and customers that you take their privacy seriously. So the key points to understand about a privacy policy are that 1, like we just said, it's legally required. It can come with hefty fines if you don't have one. You also want to make sure it's complying with various laws and regulations, including the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, you might have heard of that. Also the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, and it must specify how you're collecting and using data, among other things. And this is especially important if you're collecting emails on your website. You just need to have one. So these various laws and regulations, like the GDPR and CCPA, have specific things that they require you to include in your privacy policy. For example, for the GDPR, one of the things you have to have is what visitors' rights are. And because I don't have time to go over each specific thing, that'll take hours, at the end of the presentation, I'll actually give you a free legal guide I created for you that's going to go over some of this more in detail, specifically for the privacy policy. So number 2, the second legal page you need for your blog is the terms and conditions page. This is also sometimes called terms of use. You can think of these basically as the rules of your website. They dictate how your website can and can't be used, among other things. And having terms and conditions on your website are very important as they cover some really critical points, such as what your refund or exchange policy is for any products you sell, including physical products or online courses, and then also how your website can be used, how legal disputes arising out of your use of the website will be handled, and how disputes regarding any of your products will be resolved. Also, things like what your intellectual property rights are, and what would constitute copyright infringement, and how your liability is limited. So, as you can tell, this is really important for you, and it's one of the keys to minimizing your liability in the event of a dispute or lawsuit. So, without terms and conditions on your website, you're really putting yourself at risk by opening yourself up to this liability. So now that we've covered that on your blog, you need to have a privacy policy, you need to have terms and conditions. That brings me to number 3. The third legal page that you need on your website is a disclaimer. You might have heard of this. So a disclaimer is a statement that basically tells visitors of your website what you are and are not responsible for. It limits your liability, including with regard to content that you publish on your website. So if you're a blogger, you're obviously publishing content informational content. So a disclaimer will help to make clear to your visitors, your readers, that you are not responsible for certain things. Like if they rely on something in your blog post and have some kind of harm or injury, it just says that you're not responsible for that. And another thing, it also ensures that you're in compliance with FTC, Federal Trade Commission regulations. So if you have affiliate links on your blog, it's important to have, because a disclaimer provides transparency to visitors of your website about your relationship with certain third parties, including affiliates. And it also accomplishes things like disclaiming liability for any information found through third-party links contained on your website. So basically, if someone clicks on a link on your website, taking them to a third-party website, and something bad happens there on that third-party website, you're making it clear that you're not responsible. And we kind of talked about this already, but one more thing is for blogs in particular, where you have informational content, it's really important to include a disclaimer to limit your liability for when someone relies on information contained on your website. For example, if someone relies on a post on your blog and they suffer harm or injury, they could try to take legal action against you. But what a well-drafted disclaimer does is it limits your liability in those worst-case scenarios. So, to recap our first 3 mini lessons, the 3 legal pages you need on your website, your blog, are 1, a privacy policy, 2, terms and conditions, and 3, a disclaimer. So, moving on to point number 4, once you have these 3 legal pages ready, let's talk about where to place them on your website. Because for the privacy policy in particular, there are laws that dictate how you must actually place them and display it. So the key thing to remember is that your display of your privacy policy has to be clear and conspicuous and easily accessible so that a reasonable person would notice it. In general, for a blog, the most common way to accomplish this is by placing your hyperlink to your privacy policy and other legal pages in your footer. That way, no matter what page the viewer is on, your legal pages can be accessed. And another thing is that since hyperlinks to legal pages are most commonly placed in the footer, viewers know exactly where they can expect to find them. And one more really important point is that for the privacy policy, it always needs to get its own hyperlink. So we talked about the 3 pages: privacy policy, terms and conditions, and disclaimer. You can actually combine your terms and conditions and disclaimer into one hyperlink that you just call terms and conditions if you want. But the privacy policy always has to be displayed separately. So you can see on the screen, these get a green check mark, but then this gets the red X. So, number 5, let's do a quick mini lesson on intellectual property, since I get asked questions about the difference between a copyright, a trademark, and a patent all the time. So, trademarks are words or logos that help consumers identify the source of a product or service. It protects the brand of your company. Copyrights protect creative works in fixed forms, like movies or songs. Patents protect inventions, and there are 2 types of patents. The first is a utility patent, which protects how something is used and works, and the second is a design patent, which protects how something looks. So let's use an example of how you might encounter a trademark, patent, and copyright in the same store. So let's say you go to McDonald's. You'll notice the big M outside the restaurant and immediately identify those golden arches as the source of McDonald's restaurant services. That M would be a trademark. Then let's say you order a Happy Meal and your child opens a book about Elsa from Frozen. That book would be copyrighted material. And while your child is reading Frozen, you get on your phone and read a blog post. That's copyrighted material. Then, let's say you order French fries and McDonald's uses a novel technology to make these French fries in a very specific way. That French fry machine could be patented. So now that you understand the difference, let's move on to number 6 and talk about copyright infringement. This is something that unfortunately many bloggers that I've spoken to have had to deal with. People taking your blog post and just copying and pasting and pretending it's your own. And even actually on my YouTube channel, I've had to deal with this where people will take my videos and try to use them as their own. So from a legal perspective, one of the best things you can do to prevent these thieves is to have a very comprehensive statement in your terms and conditions stating that everything on your blog is copyrighted material and can't be used without your consent. That's going to prevent most copycats. So let me quickly show you. This is an example. This is just the terms and conditions template that we have. And you can see right here, it talks about the intellectual property. This section, whoops, I'm trying to draw. Here you go. This section right here is really important to have. So that's one thing that you can do to actually prevent these copycats, is just to have a very clear statement on your blog that says it's copyrighted material and can't be used without your consent. That'll prevent hopefully most of the copycats. And if that doesn't work, then there are some other options, like for example, you might want to escalate it by sending a DMCA notice to the host, and the host is the service provider who's responsible for the website. And if that doesn't work, then you might want to go to the next level and send a cease and desist letter to the website owner. But with everything, we want to start with what we can do to take preventative steps. So one of the best preventative steps you can have is to have that clear statement in your terms and conditions that says this blog is all copyrighted material. So that's really important to know. That's copyright. So number 7, let's dive deeper into trademarks. We've already touched on it briefly, but put very simply, trademarks are words or logos that help consumers identify the source of a product or service. So it could be your business name or logo or the name of your blog or podcast name or a slogan or phrase that you're using on your blog. Or you can even trademark your own name. So Erika Kullberg couldn't be trademarked. Many people like Joe Rogan have actually done that. So one of the main reasons why it's important to register for a federal trademark is to protect the goodwill of your brand. You spend a lot of hard-earned money building a brand, and the last thing you want is other companies using a trademark that is identical or highly similar to yours. And probably the worst thing is if those other companies argue that you're infringing on their trademark rights, even if you were using, let's say, your business name before them. Because the key thing to know about federal trademarks that many people actually don't know is that it's about who files with the USPTO first, United States Patent and Trademark Office. So it doesn't actually matter who is using it first, it matters who actually filed first. And some of the benefits of registering a federal trademark are that you get broad protection for your federal trademark across the United States, across the entire United States. You also get to use that R symbol, and you'll also get a certificate from the USPTO saying it's yours, and you can bring a lawsuit for trademark infringement in federal court. Or you can send a cease and desist letter indicating that you have the federal rights to your trademark. So if your blog name or slogan is something that you're really planning on building into a large brand, registering a federal trademark might be something you want to consider. And again, my free legal guide I'll give you at the end will talk more in detail about the process and everything you need to know, since I'm trying to pack a lot of this into this short amount of time I've had allotted with you. So that is trademarks. Number 8, moving on. Let's cover why it's important to know the Federal Trade Commission rules as a blogger and the consequences for not following these rules. So the Federal Trade Commission, we'll just say the FTC, has endorsement guidelines which are meant to protect consumers from unfair or deceptive advertising. If you have any financial incentive for talking about a product or service, your reader has the right to know. And if you're a blogger, it's important to know these rules if you, 1, do sponsored posts on your blog, or 2, use affiliate links in your blog posts. And if you don't follow these rules, you could be found in violation of the FTC Act and be forced to give up any money you received from your violations. For bloggers, this could mean money received from the sponsor for blog posts, or from commissions received from affiliate links, and just any other money received in connection with the violation. And just one note is that the FTC's endorsement guidelines apply to anyone with readers in the US. even if you're not personally located in the US, if your blog has any readers in the US, these rules apply to you because they are meant to protect US consumers. And the core principle is that endorsements should be honest and not misleading. So the question you have to ask yourself is, would knowing the connection affect the weight or credibility that readers give to your recommendation? So it's not about if you think that your review is impacted, for example, by receiving the product for free or getting a commission for sales. It's about how your readers would perceive your review and if they would think that it's impacted by the fact that you got the product for free or you receive a commission by reviewing that product. So that's really the key to remember, is that it's about the readers and it's about transparency for the readers. And that's why we have to make these disclosures when you are using an affiliate link or having a sponsored post. And the key to remember about these disclosures is that they have to be clear and conspicuous. So there are really 3 rules that I want to cover for disclosures. Number 1 is that the disclosures must be close to the claims to which they relate. For a blog, for example, if you're disclosing that a link in a blog post is an affiliate link, that disclosure must be near and above the affiliate link. So the reader should be able to see the disclosure and link at the same time. It shouldn't take effort for the reader to see. Rule number 2, the disclosures must be in a font that is easy to read. For example, you don't want a cursive font that's really difficult to read. Number 3, disclosures must be in a shade that stands out against the background. So for example, if your blog background is white, you want to make sure that the disclosure is in a dark font. So next, let's actually cover more in detail what all of this entails. So first, let's talk about sponsored posts. So when is a disclosure required for a sponsored post? A sponsored post, in case you don't know, is when a company gives you any kind of incentive for a blog post. This could be cash. So for example, a company is paying you a specified amount of money for the blog post. That's obviously the most obvious and clear-cut type of sponsored post. However, one thing to note is that if you receive something of value for free, so let's say a flight or a hotel stay in exchange for that blog post, that would also be considered a sponsored post that you would need to disclose. And note that the FTC requires disclosures for other incentives you may receive in connection with a blog post. So again, while some of these may not fit into what our definition of a sponsored post is, the FTC still requires disclosure in these cases. So this includes if you receive a product or service that you're reviewing for free, or if you receive a product or service that you're reviewing for a discount. And even if the company doesn't explicitly say to you that you're receiving the product for free in exchange for mentioning it in a blog post, you must disclose that you received the product for free. Essentially, if there's any sort of incentive, you must disclose it so that the reader has the opportunity to have a transparent understanding of the relationship between you as the blogger and the company behind the product or service. Now that you understand what a sponsored post is and what additional circumstances would also require disclosure, let's cover how to actually do disclosures so that they comply with FTC rules. We'll go over the do's and don'ts for disclosing your relationship. The basic rule, again, is that disclosures have to be clear and conspicuous. And the best way to cover what the FTC means by clear and conspicuous is just to walk you through some examples. So first thing, do clearly state that a blog post is sponsored by a company. If you've received compensation or incentive to post a blog post, do clearly state that in your blog post. An example would be saying, this blog post is sponsored by Apple. Number 2, do clearly state that you've received a product for free or at a discount. So if you received a product for free or at a discount, do clearly state that in your blog post. Examples would be saying in the blog post, I received this product for free from Apple, or thank you to Apple for the free product, or I received this product at a discount from Apple. That's really important to know. Number 3, do clearly state the relationship, if there is any, for every product you're reviewing or mentioning in your blog post. If you're doing a blog post where you're reviewing multiple products, you'll need to disclose the connection for each product that you got for free or at a discount. Not just one, you have to do it for each product. And then I guess a couple of don'ts. So one is that Saying thank you to the company is not a sufficient disclosure. The FTC specifically says that saying thank you to the sponsoring company isn't good enough as a disclosure, since it's not clear that thank you means that they are sponsoring the blog post. A thank you also wouldn't work if you received a free or discounted product. You must again clearly state that you've received the product for free or at a discount. And another don't is don't put the disclosure at the bottom of your blog post. The FTC says that it shouldn't take effort for readers to find your disclosure. If it's hidden at the bottom of your blog post, it won't work, because then people aren't necessarily going to read until the end of your post. And so it's always best practice to put the disclosure towards the top of the post where people are more likely to see it. Okay, hopefully now you understand sponsored posts. Next, let's cover affiliate links and how to do those within FTC guidelines. So if you're not familiar, an affiliate link is a custom link that a company provides to you, where if a reader clicks on that link and takes some sort of action, you may receive a financial incentive like a commission. So perhaps the most popular affiliate program that many bloggers are familiar with is the Amazon affiliate program. With their affiliate program, you receive a custom affiliate link for each product you want to promote, and if a reader clicks on your Amazon affiliate link and makes a purchase within a specified time frame, you may end up receiving a small percentage of the sale from Amazon. So essentially, if there's any financial incentive to you for a reader clicking a link, disclosure is required by the FTC. So as with sponsored videos, the basic rule is that disclosures have to be clear and conspicuous. And let's go through some examples again to walk you through what's considered clear and conspicuous when it comes to affiliate links. So one of the do's is do clearly state that you will or may receive a commission if the reader clicks on the link. So if you're using an affiliate link, you have to make it clear next to or above the affiliate link by saying, for example, I may receive a commission if you click on the link. For a don't is don't hide the affiliate link disclosure at the bottom of your blog post. So your disclosure has to be placed close to the actual affiliate link so that your reader can see the disclosure at the same time that they see the affiliate link. Your disclosure can't be buried at the bottom of your blog post, because putting the disclosure at the bottom of your post means that there's less of a chance that your reader is actually going to see the disclosure, or that they'll realize that it relates to the link that you have at top. One more don't that I see a lot of people making this mistake, so I wanted to make sure I cover this, is saying affiliate link is not a sufficient disclosure. So the FTC says that writing affiliate link next to the affiliate link isn't sufficient disclosure because some people may not know what an affiliate link is. Obviously, to most of you watching, to me, it's very clear what an affiliate link is because it's one of the main ways that you monetize your blog. It's one of the main ways that I monetize my YouTube channel. But the FTC specifically says that a lot of people might not know what an affiliate link is, which is why you need to make it plain and clear what an affiliate link is, such as by stating, I may receive a commission if you click on the link. So those were the 10 things that I felt like you needed to know in this presentation. Obviously, there's a lot more out there and I couldn't cover everything today, but I tried my best to squeeze in as many things as I could for beginning bloggers, experienced bloggers, wherever you are on your blogging journey. And as I promised, I did create a free legal guide that walks you through some of these things more in detail. For example, what exactly you need in your privacy policy, terms and conditions, and disclaimer, and also the process of trademarking your brand. So if you want to download that, that's going to be at pluginlaw.com/fincon. And I hope this was helpful. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And again, I'm Erika Kullberg. It was my pleasure to present to you today. Have a great one.